For the last handful of chapters, the One Piece manga has been following the adventures of Rocks, leading up to God Valley. His reveal was shocking enough, along with the immense power both he and his crew possessed. But one thing I myself didn't expect was the type of person he would turn out to become. In both power and character, Rocks would shake the One Piece world, and in today's video, I'll be going over just that. What's up guys, my name is Vertics, and if you enjoy videos like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I put out quality content like this weekly, you won't want to miss. At the end of chapter 1154, we got the opportunity to see Rocks for the first time, and luckily enough, Oda followed it up. In his first appearance, Rocks was exactly who we thought he was, an arrogant but very powerful warrior who demands to reach what he desires. He asks Loki two questions, if he's at Elbaf and if Harold is present. His main desire is confronting Harold to ask him to join his crew. This is something Rocks had asked Harold several times before a certain incident occurred. Before reaching Elbaf, Rocks would meet Harold for the first time in a fierce clash, while they both are attempting to escape Mary Joie. However, we see that Rocks doesn't have any hatred towards Harold here. He even tells him where to aim his sword so he doesn't become a slave. He's not pure evil, having no care for what happens to the people around him. He even wants Harold to escape and become one of his crew. Right before this though, Rocks would pull off one of the craziest feats in all of One Piece, breaking into the flower room and threatening Emu face to face. As the making of this video goes, we have never seen a feat like this, and what's crazier is that Rocks chose not to tell the world about Emu. I'm not sure why he didn't. He might have said something to his crew, but announcing to the public that there is a being who sits on the empty throne and has ruled the world for centuries would throw the world into panic and ruin a ton of the government's plans. One of the things Rocks informs Emu is that he was a worshipper of Davy Jones. It turns out this wasn't just because it was the way he formed his crew, but in chapter 1159, we learn that Rocks' real name is Davy D. Zebek. Now that we know this, I wonder if Emu caught on to Rocks being a member of the Davy clan. After all, they have went centuries covering the name up, just as they have with so many other D clans. If the Davy clan was this important, it is likely Davy Jones had ties to Joy Boy, possibly being his rival, just as Blackbeard is with Luffy and Rocks is with Roger. It reminds me of the reincarnations of Indra and Ashura a bit in Naruto, and honestly I don't mind it. I always believe the series could use real rivalries, and this would be a great way to implement it into the story when we already saw it work very well in another. Law and Kid are strong and fantastic characters, but they cannot hold a candle to Luffy's strength. He could use someone like Teach being his true rival. We have been seeing this with Rocks and Roger a lot during this flashback. They even got into a bar argument just as Luffy and Teach did. Their argument is different but just as petty, being over Shaggy, who has no interest in either of them. Still though, we see how Rocks and Roger start their rivalry over a petty bar argument, paralleling Luffy and Blackbeard. Speaking of, I believe that Rocks had 2 devil fruits, just like Blackbeard does, as he flat out states there are 2 devil fruit powers he wants to get his hands on. He's the only person that could have taught Teach how to eat 2 devil fruits and live. Either that, or it has something to do with him being a member of the Davy clan. After all, Saturn does call their lineage special, and Luffy and Zoro both called out something being off with Blackbeard. When they referred to him as they, it could allude to the 3 hearts theory. It's always been one of my more favorite theories of One Piece, and it's now possible more than ever it can be the case. The major dynamic in this flashback has been Rocks and Harold. Their relationship is a very complex one that some may not understand. Despite rejecting his offer and even drawing his sword against him, Rocks still would constantly ask Harold to join his crew while maintaining their friendship. He also doesn't attempt to fight the giants in the Davy back games to gather their soldiers. He sees Harold as a true ally and respects the people of Elbaf. However though, the elders of Elbaf and the mistakes of the lands past were too burdensome for Harold to avoid. Due to the brutality of Elbaf's old ways, many lands didn't want to ally themselves with the giants, and the government would only attempt to align them to gain their power. During their fight, Rocks would constantly tell Harold, just this. Yet he is stuck on his position as king, and he doesn't want to ally with Rocks because he considers him evil. But in my opinion, Harold is completely in the wrong here. While Rocks isn't a good guy, when it comes to the Giants and specifically Harold, he would constantly defend their honor and even try to stop them from getting betrayed by the government. The guy helped him escape from being captured by the government and even shared food with him, all for Harold to throw it back in his face constantly. Shockingly enough, Rocks would tell the man trying to kill him of his true name and about the life of his son and wife. This is something he didn't even want to tell Shaggy, someone who he protected and used to love beforehand. Yet he voluntarily lets Harold know about this huge secrets he has. Rocks didn't need to do this. While he wanted the Giants' power and explained with them the government couldn't do anything, he didn't need to tell Harold about him being a member of the Davy clan and the life of his son. Rocks was nothing but a great friend to Harold, who couldn't appreciate this due to Elbaf's politics. He's too busy trying to get Elbaf into the circle of the world to see the bigger picture. Just as Rocks says, the government got into his head, and the guy was too concerned about the Giants being on the inner circle than what would happen when they got there. After all, Rocks knows very well how the government works, being a member of the Davy clan who was killed or hidden from the world. The guy cares for his family more than anything else, and he even says as long as his wife and kid escape, he doesn't even care what happens to him. If they're auctioning off members of the Davy clan, what's to stop them from doing this with the Giants? They view bigger slaves like Kuma as the higher quality ones, and the Giants would be the literal biggest race they could get their hands on. Rocks is trying to stop this from happening to the Giants, and he even tells him a secret his crew doesn't know about. Yet once again, even after giving him another chance, Harold turned down Rocks once again. I personally don't know why Rocks went to these levels to maintain a friendship with a guy who had no respect for him. And he even told him a very crucial secret of his. Not just one, but two of them. I am kind of a Harold hater, to be honest, especially with how blind he was to Loki's abuse. I can totally see why Loki resented his father. He doesn't seem like the best father for sure. Rocks was a far better friend than Harold deserved, and it seems that he will be too stuck on getting Elbaf into the circle of the world to see the foundation of that circle. If it wasn't for the threat of Rocks and his crew, the government wouldn't have attempted to align themselves with the Giants to kill Rocks. They wouldn't have gained the trust they did to get close enough to kill him in the first place. But if Harold accepted Rocks' offer, not only would both Rocks and Harold still be alive, but the government would be nowhere near the force they are today. Rocks was a man that had dealt with the world government firsthand many times and knows they have no interest in anything other than themselves. They're the only people Rocks seems to have any real hatred towards. While they're not friends, Rocks and Roger are bitter rivals who both understand how the world is ran and who the real villains are. In both their final moments, they would be a part of some of the most impactful moments in the world's history, with both of their true names being hidden from the world. Rocks' impact really needs to be pointed out. The man had his own era, and if not for him, God Valley wouldn't have happened the way it did. The Rocks pirates wouldn't have had their way, which means only the Roger pirates would be there trying to free the slaves and save Shaggy. With Garp and the Holy Knights on their ass, they would have most likely lost and wouldn't find Laugh-Tale and start the Great Pirate Era. If it wasn't for Rocks, the series as we know it would cease to exist. And if you like One Piece, you should give your thanks to Rocks. Well, that's it for you guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and leave a like. It really helps with the algorithm, and it's very appreciated. As always, shout out to my boy Tiberius for the thumbnail. He makes quality thumbnails for me all the time. And if you would like some of your own, hit him up on Twitter, link in the description, as well as my Twitter, @Vertics_ for more of my takes. And without further ado, you guys can get out of here.